bring Mr. Jim Truman to you. Perhaps you have met him before. He has been the subject of numerous TV interviews in the Detroit area. He's been featured in the Detroit News, the Free Press, Newsweek, Time Magazine, and a few other national magazines. He is a youth motivational speaker. And to give you a little added background about Mr. Truman, he has a master's degree from Columbus University. He's developed 3 national programs dealing with women, youth, and veterans. He's a Vietnam veteran. He was a member of the 1980 U.S. Olympic bobsled team. He's a former circus clown, rodeo rider, and also a symphony member. And he spent 3 months as a roadie with the rock group Journey. Mr. Jim Truman.
Who's the most important person you know? As you'll discover, by the end of the hour, I usually lose my voice. So in order for all of you to hear each other, I'm going to have to ask for just a little bit of respect because I move around a lot. I don't stand up on stage at all. Who's the most important person you know? Okay, who's the most important person you know? Okay, who's the most important person you know? You. Okay. Let me see a show of hands. 3 people out of 5 that I asked said that they were. Let me see a show of hands of those people that do not believe that that is a conceded statement. Do not believe that that is a conceded statement. Why don't you believe that that's a conceded statement? I don't know. The 3 people that said that they thought they were the most important persons that they knew. Who was John? John, you're off number 1. Why don't you think that was a conceded statement? You were the first one to say it. You said it. You going to own the statement or not? Okay? In fact, you really are the most important person that you know, and not for selfish reasons. Because if you don't feel good about who you are, I'm not going to feel good about you, and no one else is going to feel good about you. It is just that simple. It is just that simple, John. Unfortunately, we say that, and all of you that raised your hand said that. And all of you said, yes, I'm the most important person. But most of you don't even believe that. And you allow other people to dictate how you feel about yourself. What's your first name? Nancy. Nancy, let's assume that everybody in the school got together. That everybody in the school got together and said, Nancy, you were absolutely the ugliest person that they ever. Nancy, and we said, Nancy, you are incredibly ugly. You are so ugly. It's beyond anything we could ever imagine. And we all got together. We all listened. That can happen, and sometimes will happen to all of you. And we all got together and made this decision. How do you feel about yourself, Nancy? You feel badly, of course. Of course. Why, though, Nancy? You're very pretty. Why would you allow other people to dictate how you feel about yourself? Let me ask you on the other side of the coin. If everybody got together and said, Nancy, we really like you. You're pretty. We really like you. We feel good about who you are. How would you feel then? Everybody got together and said that. How would you feel? Feel good. Feel good. Do you understand what has happened, everyone? What's happened is we've allowed everybody else to dictate how we feel about ourselves. Instead of feeling good inside, we've worked it from the outside in. And what happens usually is that we wind up being pulled in all different directions. Nancy, come on up here for a second. Okay. I want you to pull me and forget about ripping out my arms because I've been doing this a long time. Pull me and just say, Jim. Remember, each time you pull me, say, Jim, I want you over here. And each time you pull me, I want you to say, Jim, I want you over there. Go. Go. And about 2 weeks ago, I had a real impacting experience in my life. Friends of 10 years have 4 children. One of them a 13-year-old boy. I used to go over to their house all the time, and I never once saw his mother and father compliment him, make him feel good. They were always comparing him. They were always saying, why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you get good grades? Two weeks ago, on a Saturday night, he hung himself in the shower. The note that he left to his parents said, I'm no good. You believe that I'm no good, and therefore I'm no good. How often do we do that to each other? How often do we put down each other? Let me see an honest show of hands from everybody who in the last year have been put down at least once by one person. Honest! To tell you how you should feel about yourself. And we do it sometimes in subtle ways too. Assuming if we ran right down the middle of this room and we decided to choose up 2 teams. And we chose 2 captains that were popular in school. And we gave them an opportunity to start to pick people for their teams in order of importance. The two captains would wind up starting to pick the most popular, the best athletes, their friends, so on and so on and so on. Stop and think what happens to the people that get picked out at the end of the row. After a while, what happens is you start to say, please, please pick me. Please, please don't let me be last. And unfortunately, someone has to be last. But stop and think about what happens to that person. Yesterday I was doing a radio show in Detroit and I was looking out the window. And I was looking over at a field across the way and there were some people playing football. And there was a boy that was part of one team. And he would keep running out for passes and he would be free all the time. And he'd be waving his hands like crazy and nobody would pass it to him. And I kept thinking to myself, how this person feels, I can't believe it. And again, we do that to each other. We create standards by where everybody else should buy into those standards. If you got straight A's, what's your first name again? John. John, if you got straight A's in school, does that mean that you're a success? Okay. John, if you got straight F's in school, does that mean you're a failure? Why, John? Before we answer that, John, let me tell you a story. I have a program at Northern High School in Detroit, and I have a student that is going to graduate this year with a 1.6 average. Delta Faucets just accepted a patent that he had. He was a great designer. He could draw and he could do some phenomenal drawings. Delta Faucets just accepted a patent that he had for a brand new faucet. Is he a failure? But he's going to get all F's, or close. He's going to get some D's and some F's. Is he a failure? In school he failed. But is he a failure? No. But how often do we lump school and failure together? How often do we lump other areas of our lives along the line of failure? We just use school as a for instance. So if you get all A's, it just means that you've done well in school. It doesn't mean that you are a success or a failure. If you get all F's on the other side of the coin, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you have not done well in school. That is the most difficult concept from adults to deal with. Forget about most of you. I was speaking in New York City about 2 months ago, and I came across a headline that I want to show to you, all of you. It says, honor student clubs bombed to death. She said his grades weren't good enough. We're buying into everybody else's standards of feeling good. And we're coming up short. And every one of you, if not now, at some point will be in this tug of war, and it doesn't get any better. And we keep looking around and saying, It looks great over there. That's where I'm heading because somebody looks great on paper. Let me see a show of hands from all of you that think that the rock group journey is successful. Why, John? Because they're good. The first positive comment in all the times I've been asking, that question. Someone else who raised their hand. Yes, I saw you raise your hand. Why do you think they're successful? Because they're good. Why? Anybody else, please? They make a lot of money, someone said. Okay? They got a lot of fame and a lot of notoriety. People know who they are. Their concerts are usually sold out. Well, I knew, because I worked with several members of the band in my program, I knew that they weren't particularly happy in what they were doing. And everyone is saying to themselves, well, why do they do it? And I'm saying a lot of times you get trapped. You get trapped in everybody's expectations, everybody else's expectations of who you are. And that's where they're at. They go on the road. Now the group is rejoining. They go on the road. And they're like wind-up dolls. They go and they perform. They're never even sure what city they're in. Their lives are controlled by agents and managers. They spend about 90% of the day sleeping, get up, do the concert, go back to sleep again. In many cases, they're playing the same songs and they're looking out at the same people. And by open admission, most of them have said, if I knew what this was like, I might not have even gone after it. And yet everybody looks and says, wouldn't this be great? Isn't this phenomenal? And the values that we look around at, we start to develop ourselves. And we start to move with all these values. So if someone said one day that green sweaters are in, everybody will run out and buy a green sweater. So the next day that somebody says red sweaters are in, you run in red sweaters and blue and orange and yellow. Because the truth of it is that most of us want to be accepted. We don't want to stick out. But accepted at what price? Do we have a dollar bill? I have. I do. You gotta pull it out. Mike, can you hold up? Stand up. Hold up. All right. Just tear it in half. Just tear it in half. And it's real easy for that to happen. John, sorry to pick on you. Who are you, John? Who is John? Who are you, John? Who are you, John? John, my name is Jim Tillman. I'm basically, even though I jump up and down and scream and yell like this, I'm basically very shy. I grew up, I went to like 5 or 6 schools by the time I finished high school, and each school was traumatic to me. Because each school meant that I had to make a whole new set of friends. And it left me with a lot of scars and a lot of insecurities that I've had to work through over the years. And it took a long time and a lot of difficulty. Understand what I have just done in the last 30 seconds? Is I've let you inside of me. Instead of saying I'm Jim Tillman and I've been on this television show, or I've been a roadie, or I've been a bobsled racer, or I've been this, or I've been that, they're all labels. I've let you in on me. And I've let you in on me because I feel good about myself. I feel good enough about myself to say, John, if you come in and you hurt me, it's okay, because you're not going to destroy me. And people, unfortunately, can't allow somebody to do that. So they hide behind all this. And they keep the walls up so no one gets to see them. When I was young, I grew up in the Hell's Kitchen area of New York. And I was a member of what was at that time the largest street gang in the city of New York. I also was, by my own admission later on, the consummate follower. That means whatever the gang did, you could always count on Jim Tillman to be there. One night, got to be about 23, 24 years ago, in a place called Needle Park in New York, where the heroin addicts used to hang out, 4 members of my gang killed a 65-year-old man. They are at this very moment still in jail with life sentences. If it was not for a previous engagement that I had to go to where my grandmother was sick, I would have been there that night. Because I never felt good enough about myself to say no. I never felt good enough about myself to say, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we robbing people? Why are we killing people? And interestingly enough, we all get together every 5 or 10 years. We do what's kind of a reunion. People have dropped out, but I've been real consistent. We go up to prison in upstate New York, and we all get together and we all start sharing where we are in our lives. And the 4 people that are still in jail, don't have much to share, obviously. But the last time, a couple of years ago when we did this, as I was leaving, 2 of them came up and hugged me with tears running down their face, and they said, if we weren't followers too, we wouldn't be here. The question becomes, for most of you, do you live out who you are inside, or do you become a follower? Every one of you in this room is struggling for who you are. Every one of you in this room is asking yourself, who am I? Who am I? Do I feel good about myself? Don't I feel good about myself? Who am I? And a lot of you, unfortunately, will hide behind the walls to share those parts of you that you feel good about. I did something last hour that I want to be able to do again. It's the first time that I have ever done this in any of my talks. And I want to be able to get through the entire room going to get an opportunity to come up to the mic and share something good about yourself. And the way that I'm going to start is I'm going to open the first one up myself, and then I'm going to ask some of the adults in the room to share some good things about themselves. Because even for 1 second, I'd like most of you to feel good about yourself. Wait, because we'll never get through this. My name is Jim Tuman, and I'm a caring person. Please. Can you stand up, Wayne? Great, Wayne. Go.
My name is Dick Seckies. I'm a counselor.
Great, Dick. Go for it. Yes, sir.
Thomas, the assistant principal, and they all know what I feel good about.
So they all know where you're at.
My name is Roger Bailey, and I'm very proud of all of my students. It's the first time I've seen them all at once in one place, and they're damn good kids.
Great. You want to talk about support, that's where support starts. You want to talk about feeling good when you have that type of support from someone like this. That's where it just keeps multiplying. Yes, sir.
Don Moore. I feel good because I'm the only person that has patience enough to work with ninth grade shoplifting.
Great. I appreciate it. Okay, yes.
I'm Anita Kosicki, and I
Give everybody an opportunity to share this, please. Because, first of all, let me explain something to you. It takes a lot of courage for some of these people to stand up and say this. Because what they're doing is the same thing that I did with John. They're opening themselves up, and they're taking a chance that they're not going to be, number one, laughed out of the room, number two, humiliated, and no one likes that. And all of you are going to feel the same way when you go on the mic. Yes, please.
I'm Anita Kosicki, and I'm a substitute teacher here, and I'm proud of the fact that I've been asked back many times to Kelly.
Great, Renee. Go. Yes, sir.
Larry Humphrey. Proud of the fact I've got lots of hobbies and enjoy life.
That's great. All right. Anybody else in this? Today she likes her job. I have only heard this comment from a handful of people in my whole life. My whole life. Somebody just willing to stand up and say that they really like their job. Okay, we're going to start over here. Listen, everybody else took the courage. Everybody, okay. Just say your name and what you feel good about yourself. How am I going to feel good about you if you can't share what you feel good about? Please give everybody some respect. Come on. Great, that's super. Go. Come on up here. Come on, everybody start standing up. Go.
My name is Loretta, and I feel good about myself because I have a great boyfriend and girlfriend.
That's super.
My name is Connor Gomez, and I'm with
Come on up. So, last time we ran into some time problems. Come on. Yeah, come on, stand up. And next row, too. Come on.
Alicia, and I like my nails and my front.
Great. He has a great smile. Great, go. Come on up, because I can't reach the microphone. And everybody starts standing up. And believe me, for some people who have never stood up before a large group like this, this is a real courageous step. And for most of you, you should feel good about even doing that.
For years, Lord, I feel good about myself because I was supporting the student body and electing the president.
Great. Congratulations. Go, come on.
My name's Omar, and I feel good about myself because I have a great family, great country.
Oh, super, great. And I hope your family gets a chance to hear that themselves too. And also your friends.
My name's Tracy, and I enjoy life with my background.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sure your best friends, if they're here, they're also listening to that. Come on.
My name is Lynn, and I feel good about myself because I have great friends.
Go, come on. Come on.
My name's Doyle Weir.
Because even for 1 second, like, when you were asking why this is important, because even for 1 second, even if you share among everybody else, it moves you forward to feeling good, and it brings it out from inside of you. Listen, there's a whole lot of mothers out there, there's a whole lot of people out there that can't say they're all welcome. A lot of good friends.
My name's Sam. I call myself best friend.
Great. Go.
Me and Bob Martin, I'm proud of myself. Clothes on my back and rope.
Having just, by the way, come back from overseas, from Ethiopia, that's a heavy statement.
My name's John, and I'm really going to my
Great. Also a real positive.
My name's Brian Willer. I find myself just like a contributing to the Christian Express.
Right. Do you understand what happens, how that reinforces other people's caring? When someone's willing to stand up and say he has with people's friends. Oh, a lot of nice friends. Go. Great, go. Great. Come on, guys. Let's go. Let's move it up fast to the next table. Come on. Okay. Glad he's alive. Play sports. All friends, go. He enjoys the things he do. Yes, come on. He has good friends. Some of you, come on.
My name's Lonnie, so I'm proud of myself. I'm a student at Union High.
Great. Come on. Next group, come on. Proud of the month of support. Go.
I'm glad to
Great. Okay. All right. Some of you who are just dealing with the issue around friends, try to think of some other things. Try to think if you wanted people to start to get to know you, what you want to share about yourself. Go. He has food to eat. Very, very powerful again because of you. Wait, listen, everyone, please. I know for most of you that you think that this is either foolish or it's embarrassing or whatever, but for 1 second, in front of a lot of people, you're willing sharing. Great. I support it. Proud to have money. Great. Proud to be with his friends. Come on.
Sheila, and I'm talking to myself.
Proud to be yourself. Great, you have friends. Go. Good personality. Come on. Very good. All it is. Please give us support. Proud to be yourself and enjoy life. Come on. Do really good school. Good friends and good school. Did most of you watch the dynamics on that last statement? Did most of you see anything that happened? When he was willing to come up and be courageous enough to say that he was a good musician, what happened to everybody? Everybody started laughing. How supportive is that? How supportive will he ever have in terms of his music career? Years ago, actually a little bit longer, when the Beatles first made their national tour, I was doing photography in New York City, and I got an opportunity to go on tour with the Beatles, and I was in Chicago when John Lennon put out a big ad in the Chicago Tribune. He said, anyone who's an aspiring songwriter, I am willing to meet with him and share some of my ideas, and have them share some of theirs. I can only limit it because the size and time to 75 people. Over 10,000 applied. And John Lennon walked in the middle of a group like this in an auditorium at Northwestern University, and he looked out at 75 people and he said, I am no more talented than you are. And everybody looked at him like he was crazy. He and the Beatles were at the top of the charts. He was making a lot of money. Everybody knew who he was. He was playing his own music. How much more could you want? And somebody stood up in the back and said, John, I know you just said that, but we just don't buy it. And he said, the only difference between myself and you, he says, if I got a song in my gut, he says, I can have somebody play it, somebody write music to it, somebody promote it, and hopefully somebody buy it. And he said, that's the only difference between you and I. And every one of you is walking around with a dream or a song or something inside of you. And the last person that came out to share, that's what he's walking around with. And you know the unfortunate thing is, for most of you, you're going to spend your lives with that dream inside. Maybe this person that had courage enough to get up to the mic and share, you'll see him someday on stage. Because he's willing to commit around his dream. And that's the only difference. Every one of you deserves to have an opportunity to make a dream happen. And coming up here to take the courage enough to share it with everybody is very, very powerful. And it also works the reverse. The whole trend of my entire talk was capsulized in that 30 seconds when all of you laughed because he said he wanted to be a great musician. Stop and think about it if somebody did that in your life. What kind of time do you have?
5 minutes.
Okay, really quickly, we won't get around to it, but go. Great friends, are you? Glad to be here, go. Support you in what you want to become. Hang on to that. Good friends, good family. For those of you mic and share. Interestingly enough, many of you said, well, I got off the hook on this one. He never got to me. But in fact, unfortunately, you're the ones that never got an opportunity to share. And so there may come another opportunity for you at some point. There may come another opportunity for you to open yourself up to a friend, to someone in your family, to somebody in your life, to open up to share who you are. We spend most of our lives hiding, as I said, behind that. What I'd like to do afterwards, who's dollars? What I'd like to do afterwards, for those of you who want it, I'd like to take the pieces of the dollar bill that have been torn and give you a small piece. And I want all of you to keep it, and long after you will forget my name, my face, this talk, I hope that some of you will remember, when you look at this little piece of dollar, which is symbolic, I hope some of you will remember that you deserve to feel good about who you are. You deserve to go after who you are. You deserve to fulfill your dreams, not to the exclusion or selfishness that you are alone in doing this. Because if you really feel good about yourself, you would want other people also to feel good about themselves, and in turn, you would respect where they're at. And it is my hope that I will be walking down the street in 5 or 10 years, and one of you will come up to me and tap me on the shoulder and say, Jim, I heard you speak 5 or 10 years ago, and I want to tell you that I really feel good about who I am. And I'm really going after some good stuff in my life, and I'm really starting to make it happen. And you want to know something? I'll walk away with a smile. I really will walk away with a smile. Because that's all that any of this is about. I believe in all of you. I believe in every one of you in this room. But it doesn't mean a damn thing if I believe in you. It's just another person giving lip service to it. I don't have the answers for any of you in terms of who you are. I don't have the answers for any of you in terms of who you are. The only thing I could hope along the way in this hour was to ask some hard questions. If you don't start to commit to what you put on the mic in terms of feeling good about yourself, it doesn't matter whether everybody else in this room gets together and agrees that you're great, that you're the most fantastic person. Because the minute everyone leaves this room, they have taken out of this room your image. And so again, it doesn't matter whether I believe in you. It matters whether you believe in you. I think every one of you deserves an opportunity to feel good about yourself. And I believe you can make it happen. Thanks for having me.